The long-awaited Pyro Archon Mavuika is here, and in this video we're going to be showcasing exactly how you can make everyone fear your name. Because after all, we just don't have enough on-field Pyro DPS characters. Now, starting with the best artifact setup that you can put on your Pyro Archon, it depends on one of the two playstyles that we'll be talking about in this video: on-field full DPS damage or off-field sub DPS. For the on-field DPS menace, the Obsidian Codex is going to be the best setup that you can use on the Pyro Archon, the two-piece giving you a damage percent increase while in your Night Soul Blessing state, whereas the four-piece is going to give you up to 40% crit rate, which is easy for her to maintain as it depends on consuming Night Soul points. If you don't have the Obsidian Codex set and you choose to use Farina in your team, you can also use the Marchus Hunter set, or if you're fairly new to Genshin, just throw in the Gladiators Finale setup and this will work quite well for you at the start of the game. If you're using Mavuika as an off-field support DPS character, Scroll of the Hero of the Cinder City is going to be her best off-field DPS support set, as long as you don't have another character in your party currently using Hero of the Cinder City. While she can't gain any benefit of the two-piece of this set, the four-piece bonus for a support DPS Pyro Archon is going to give you 40% additional damage bonus for a couple of the characters in your party, which is one of the best support setups that you can have access to. So look to these artifact sets when you're gearing your Mavuika. As far as main stats for the artifacts goes, Saints is always going to be attack percent, Goblet you're going to want that pyro damage percent, and Circlet you either want crit rate or crit damage. Subset priority for the Pyro Archon is pretty easy, just get as much crit rate and crit damage as possible. A 2-to-1 ratio is always mathematically best, and then follow up with some additional attack percent. Notably, we don't need any energy recharge on this character, as her elemental burst follows its own specific mechanic, but more on that in a minute. When it comes to weapon setups, her own weapon, 1,000 Blazing Suns, is by far her best option, as it gives you everything that you would need for the Pyro Archon to excel in either a main or sub DPS role. However, if you don't want to pull for this weapon, you can use options such as the Wolf's Gravestone, Beacon of the Reed Sea, or if you're in a Burgeon or Burning team, Fane of the Mountain King. For 4-star options, the Serpent Spine is a go-to Claymore classic, and yes, it's going to return for Mavuika's build as well. Tidal Shadow is actually a very strong option, as you can get a substantial amount of damage percent bonuses within the Pyro Archon's own kit, so getting just a substantial amount of attack percent increase works pretty well there. Another option could be the Earth Shaker. It has a pretty significantly high base attack for a 4-star option. It also gives you attack percent as a secondary stat, so follow these weapon and artifact setups to get the most out of your Pyro Archon. As we move into both on-field DPS Pyro Archon and off-field support Pyro Archon setups, we need to talk about one very important thing that you need to know when you're putting teams together for this character. Remember how we talked about that you didn't need energy recharge on the Pyro Archon? Well, that's because she uses her own unique mechanic for gaining access to her elemental burst. And this mechanic is Fighting Spirit. You can gain Fighting Spirit in one of two ways. You can gain a small amount every time someone in your party does a normal attack, but the primary way that you want to gain Fighting Spirit is when someone in your party consumes Night Soul point gauge, meaning that you want to have at least one other Notlon character in your party so you can actually gain access to this very powerful elemental burst. And for this reason, Shalonen is an absolute monster for on-field DPS Mavuika teams. You can also use someone like Sitlali. An example on-field team would be the Pyro Archon herself, Shalonen, as well as Sitlali, to gain as much bonuses to your Fighting Spirit gain for the Pyro Archon as humanly possible, and then you fit in someone like Rosaria here for additional cryo application. In addition to that, you also have shielding as well as healing from the combination of Sitlali and Shalonen. You also have some increased damage percent bonuses from the Hero of the Cinder City set on your Shalonen as well. Another very powerful on-field team that only utilizes Shalonen with the Pyro Archon would be Pyro Archon plus Shalonen with Farina on top of Bennett. A couple off-field Mavuika setups that you could look to have access to involve the Pyro Archon as well as Bennett in conjunction with Emil in Kinich. Or try the Pyro Archon with Chevrus and Fischl, and my favorite character, the DPS Chlorine. If you're looking for further information on the weapon selection that you could use on the Pyro Archon, go check that video out. Let me know how much of a war god you are now after following this video. Make sure you drop that like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.